of the Larger Fellowship, a Unitarian Universalist congregation with no geographical boundaries. We believe in cultivating curiosity and transformation that is rooted in profound love. The COVID-19 pandemic has irrevocably shaped how connections are formed in congregations across the United States and the world. The Church of the Larger Fellowship is committed to being a resource within Unitarian Universalism and beyond. From worship to covenant groups, from classes to pastoral care, and from our monthly magazine Quest to our online community hub and our letter writing ministry, we have found ways to build connection and community, even through the screen. We have been a model for ministry on the margins, providing services for isolated Unitarian Universalists, becoming a spiritual lifeline for our members in prison. The CLF supports the ministries of those who hold target identities: Blue, Black Lives of Unitarian Universalism; Trust, Transgender Religious UU Professionals Together; and Drum, Diverse Revolutionary Unitarian Universalist Multicultural Ministries, just to name a few. We know better than anyone how deep and meaningful connections can be formed, even from a distance. Unitarian Universalists have faced many challenges in these times, and we continue to persevere and fight for justice and equity for all people, especially during moments of crisis. We are proud to be a leader in this faith movement, and we invite you to get involved in our ministry. We strive to be a place where anyone from anywhere can find spiritual refuge anytime they need it. Welcome to the Church of the Larger Fellowship. We are so excited to bring you an all-new episode of The View. The View is a weekly Unitarian Universalist talk show discussing important faith-based topics from an anti-racist, anti-oppressive, and multicultural perspective. Every Thursday for the past 7 years, we have welcomed guests from every corner of the world. Our guests are writers, scholars, activists, and religious thought leaders who are shaping Unitarian Universalism and society for the 21st century and beyond. I hope today's show inspires you. Hope it builds your faith. Hope it gives you perspective to see the power of Unitarian Universalism at work in your life. Enjoy the message.
Greetings, all. Welcome to another episode of the Voices of Unitarian Universalism, which we lovingly call The View or sometimes The VU. Welcome to Season 12, Episode 456. This is our 456th episode. I don't know why that number is striking me. Maybe 456 is just striking me. Today, maybe I just need a little joy. So I'm finding joy in wherever it is that I can find it. I'm the Reverend Dr. Michael Tino, part of the lead ministry team of the Church of the Larger Fellowship. I am a fat, white, almost bald, dude-looking person with green glasses and a purple polo shirt on. I'm sitting in front of a very full bookcase that needs to be cleaned up. I am coming to you from Peekskill, New York, which is about 35 miles up the Hudson River from New York City, the land of the Kitchewan, Wappinger, and Munsee Lenape peoples. And here in the Hudson Valley, it is a hot spring day. Spring has sprung. It has beaten winter into submission. Hopefully not to come back for another 9 months. We'll see winter again. We know that happens. But the flowers are blooming. My red bud is red budding. My cherry tree is blooming. And I have a 3-by-6 foot piece of property, and it's filled with plants, most of which are in bloom right now. And it's a lovely thing. DC Fortune, how are you?
Hi, everybody. I am doing relatively well. I'm Reverend DC Fortune. Um, my pronouns are he, him. I am a fat-ish white transgender man with balding, short gray hair and glasses, and I'm wearing this really cool like fish shirt that CB Beale gave me. Um, and I'm coming to you. I serve the UU congregation of the Susquehanna Valley in central Pennsylvania. We are on the historic lands of the Susquehannock people, and we are right along the Susquehanna River. And I'm in Northumberland, which is the final home of Joseph Priestley, which is our little local little claim to fame. And it's going to be the weather people said it's going to be about 80 today. So like we've got like temperature whiplash happening here. But you know what? You don't have to shovel 80 degrees. So I'll take it. Aisha, how are you this morning or today or whatever it is there?
Today, yeah, it's early. It's morning. It's 9 a.m. I'm Aisha Hauser, she, her pronouns. I am a tan brown woman with curly wild hair that has streaks of gray in it, that is black, and wearing a keffiyeh, symbol of the freedom for the Palestinian people. And at some point, I want to talk about the book Genocide Bad, because we need a book called Genocide Bad written by a non-binary Jewish person named Sim Kern. I'm in Seattle, Washington, land of the Coast Salish people. And it's sunny today, and my dog is sitting next to me on the couch, and I'm trying to get my internet in order, which is why I'm in my living room. And I'm hooked up to the Ethernet. So yes, my dog is Gracie. She's let's see. Okay, for those of you who are listening, you won't be able to see her, but she looks like a skinny cow. She is white and black and sitting next to me. Uh, and I think Dante's going to get something at the door. So I will give it back to you, Michael, and Brother Zachary. Oh, there you are, Dante. Dante came right back. Dante is risen. Dante, how are you?
Baby, I'm a Scorpio. I rise many and many, many times. I rise more than Maya Angelou. I rise more than Langston those rivers. I rise. That's what I do. If I'm not rising, I'm being reborn.
We are Scorpio twins.
Peaches and her, baby. Good morning, good afternoon.
God help us all. Oh,
Happy
Jesus.
Earth Day week. Happy continued resurrection season. My name is Dante Hilliard. I use he, him pronouns or anything that is used in a respectful way and consistent with who I am in the world. I am in Baltimore, Maryland, the land of the Piscataway people. I am a pleasantly plump, brown-skinned, fat black man with black glasses. I have on my little halo black head wrap because, wash day is coming soon, with reddish-brown shoulder-length dreadlocks and a salmon pink polo shirt on. And did I miss anything? Oh, it's only getting up to 78 here today, but our air quality is in the toilet. And the train track, they're doing something over there, digging up all kind of stuff. So there's a lot of debris in the air over here today.
Yeah, we are getting smoke from wildfires in New Jersey up here in New York. And so it's not particularly pleasant outside. It's just warm. And we have 11 viewers and climbing. So check in on Facebook and YouTube, beloved. So Darby says hi, and hi to Gracie. Welcome, Darby, and Lisa Miller is here with us. So we love to say hi to our viewers. Let us know where you're viewing us from. And normally we would launch into some sort of a roundup of Unitarian Universalist things, but one of the things that is happening in the Unitarian Universalist world right now is that we are gearing up for our General Assembly, our annual meeting of congregations, which happens now in person and virtually, both every other June, and virtually only every other year. This year we are headed to Baltimore to eat soul food and ice cream with Dante. Those of you who missed the show that Aisha and DC left me and Dante by ourselves, we went through an entire travel recommendations of
Yeah.
Baltimore for you. So look in our history if you want to know where to get ice cream in Baltimore, or just find me and we'll go for ice cream together. It's all good. Um, we're headed to Baltimore, and one of the things we're doing at this General Assembly is we will be choosing an issue for all of our congregations to study for the next 3 years. It's called a congregational study action issue. You don't need to know like the jargon, but you will hear it referred to as CSAI. And there are 3 congregational study action issues that we are choosing from among, one of which has been proposed by the Church of the Larger Fellowship, and it is a congregational study action issue on abolition as faith formation. And so we're going to be having a couple shows where we talk about our prison ministry at the Church of the Larger Fellowship, how it is that we serve and are accountable to our now almost 2,000 incarcerated Unitarian Universalist members, and about prison abolition. And so this is the first of those shows. And so I'm just going to dive in and introduce our guest. Brother Zachary Stevens-Walter is the chaplain for pastoral care at Community Church of New York in New York City. Community Church of New York has become our vital partner in ministry to our incarcerated members. And Brother Zachary is coordinating the Pen Pal Hub, one of our biggest ministries that we do with our incarcerated members is to match our incarcerated UU members with Free World Unitarian Universalists to be pen pals. It is a life-saving relationship that invites people to get to know one another, to support one another, and it really is beautiful. And last fall, summer, Community Church of New York became our Pen Pal Hub. So we're going to talk about pen pals. We're going to talk about abolition. Brother Zachary, welcome. If you want to check in and tell us a little bit about yourself, we would welcome that.
Thank you. It's lovely to meet you all, and thank you for the introduction, Michael. I'm happy to be joining. I'm Brother Zachary. I am a racially ambiguous, male-presenting Catholic priest wearing the traditional uniform of my office, a black suit with what we call a clerical collar. Others endearingly call it a dog collar. I wear it with pride as a symbol of the tradition that I hope to reshape with my life and myself. I'm wearing rainbow glasses. I have rainbow bracelets on both of my wrists, and I have short locks tied back pretty firmly underneath a set of DJ-sized headphones. I may have said this already, I prefer he, him pronouns, although, as Dante said, anything spoken with respect, I am happy to lean into. You mentioned that I serve the community church as the chaplain for pastoral care, which I do. But I also mentioned I'm a Catholic priest. I am not coming to this as a UU. I am hired from my Catholic tradition to serve the community church, to walk with the community church, to share in the faith life of this community, and to support the church in its efforts to serve the wider community, to serve its mission to the world. And the Worthy Now Pen Pal Hub has been, for me, a vital piece of my expression of my faith here. It is an opportunity for me to bring the community church into our desire to be a part of the life-saving work taking place in our world. Church of the Larger Fellowship has really given us quite an opportunity to connect with such a life-saving and vital ministry taking place across the country. So I'm grateful to be here and looking particularly forward to talking about how abolition can become a cornerstone for UU faith, but also how we can lean into abolition as a global movement and let it shape all of us, no matter what tradition we hold.
Oh, it's all connected. Can I ask a question that has nothing to do yet with abolition? So you are a Catholic priest, but a brother, not a father? Because I know Marist brothers, like I know monk type folks, but I'm curious about that.
Thank you. I am a Franciscan friar ordained in 2021 to the friary, and all of us, whether we are lay or clergy, are addressed as brother or sister. We're the order of
Gotcha.
of Saint Francis and of the Saint Clare of the Poor Clares. So there are male and female members, but I was also ordained a deacon and a priest. My priesthood ordination was about 2 years ago. So at St. Joseph, many folks call me Father Zachary. There's a bit of a justice issue in my bishop calling me Father Zachary, but all of us in the mission go by Brother Zachary. My name is Brother Zachary. My call is to the Franciscan orders that I hold. And so I identify much more as Brother Zachary, but whatever you call me.
No, I'll call you Brother Zachary. I was just curious. Thank you. I love the Franciscans. And we do have to name that Pope Francis, probably one of the cooler popes in modern times, or if ever, is has transitioned and hanging out with Jesus, maybe. Yes. He died on Easter? I wasn't, yeah, right? On Easter. Wow.
The next day.
Easter Monday, yeah.
Oh, sorry. Easter
Monday,
That's
which is a whole holiday that like
That's right.
And it is in the season of Easter, which is a whole liturgical season that lasts until Pentecost.
Easter season I have
Or
is 7
Ascension?
days, but I don't know that every tradition follows the same
Okay.
the same pattern. Thank you for mentioning that, Michael. Easter Monday was a holiday where I grew up. It was very much an intentional piece of the Easter celebration. We take Easter Monday as a day to consider the implications of the Easter message on our life. Thank you for the message that you sent out, because I felt seen and connected.
Yeah, as someone who grew up Italian in Brooklyn, my family is Roman Catholic culturally, if not religiously anymore. And we would celebrate Easter Monday every year. We would go to my grandparents' house and have a big feast. And I never understood Easter Monday because we were not super religious. My grandmother would go to church. She would come back. She wouldn't tell us what she did. Like she would.
It was about food, Michael. It was about food
before we got there. But now, as an adult and as a religious leader, I actually understand Easter Monday. And like, oh yeah, you need to actually integrate this message into your life if it's going to be worth anything.
Mm.
So,
that's absolutely true. DC, you corrected me appropriately. Easter season is not 7 days. Christmas season is 7 days. The time all the way up until Pentecost is considered the liturgical season of Easter. And so...
Woo, my aunt would be so proud of me. She was my godmother, and she has adapted really well to me becoming a Protestant minister. All things considered.
Oh, that's lovely. And for me, I would say similarly, my disconnection from the monastery and from St. Joseph Mission has only deepened in the years I've spent embedded in UU community. The first year I was serving Mass every week back in New Jersey, and it was very much a lifeblood to me and my traditions. The more I get embedded in UU community, the more time I spend with others of different traditions, the more the faith of my upbringing, the faith of my heart actually serves as a connector to the faith of other people. It actually doesn't surprise me that my interpretation of dogma is on the decline a little bit. I'm losing a little bit of the rigidity that formed me, probably from hanging out with folks like y'all.
Probably.
Will be assimilated.
Guilty as charged.
We try.
You will
When I
be
was 17, I was at Rutgers Newark. That's where I went to undergrad. And the first time I even got a glimpse of universalism, I was raised a strict Muslim. It was a Marist brother, Catholic Marist brother, when I was 17 and knew that, Islam's the only way, otherwise everyone's perishing. And I said, well, tell me about this. And he said he's a Catholic Marist brother, Brother Rob. And I said, well, tell me why you're right. And he said, I'm not going to tell you that. There's many paths to God. And I was like, there's what? No, what? And it was like the first time I had ever, like, my concept of pluralism started with a Catholic dude. So this is not, it was actually quite wonderful. I almost became Catholic, but then realized that was not a great idea for me. But anyway, yeah, I do want to talk about, I'm excited to talk about abolition and our connection with CCNY Community Church. And I do want to ask how you found us, how you got involved. And I think that would be a cool origin story.
Thank you. How I found CLF or Worthy Now? Is that the question?
How you found how a Franciscan priest is now hanging out with the UUs? I mean, I'm talking like you're out at the alley and you got robbed and your parents I'm sorry, that was Batman. I mean, like, just what's your origin story of finding Unitarian Universalism?
Absolutely. Well, unfortunately, the story is less interesting than you might expect. There was a Facebook post from someone in my old seminary class who has deep love for the community church, but thought that the initiative coming from Reverend Peggy, the senior minister here and my supervisor, to find a chaplain outside of Unitarian Universalism was very forward-thinking. So there was a call that this church put out for a chaplain outside of the UU faith. The reason being, and I think it's wise, here in New York City on Madison Avenue and 35th Street, the chances of someone coming through our door who's already Unitarian Universalist is quite small. The chances of me encountering somebody of a different faith is much more likely. And so I found myself in a context, at St. Joseph Mission, where priests don't earn salaries, looking for a way to support me and my family. Prior to being ordained at St. Joseph Mission, I was married and I have 3 children. So I need a salary. Even though I've taken a vow of poverty, I need an income. And so being trained as a chaplain at NYU and having done my clinical pastoral education training there, I pursued this opportunity. Now, did I know it was going to work well? Absolutely not. I was terrified.
Yeah.
And frankly, I was more certain that folks would be unwelcoming to me than the reverse. I thought that my convictions as a Catholic would not be welcome. And frankly, I couldn't have been more wrong. I expected a lot of people to question me in the truly progressive nature of my faith and my beliefs. And as it turned out, nobody has asked me very often what I think or what I believe. They're much more concerned with how I show up in the world and how we show up for each other. And I think those values actually might be consistent between Catholicism and Unitarian Universalism. How we show up for one another, how we practice our love, seems to take precedence over what lofty beliefs we might hold in the back of our heads. So that's how I ended up here. I very quickly fell in love with the diversity and welcome that I found in a Unitarian Universalist context, and have been struggling with the theological implications ever since.
Wow.
So along came CLF and this pen pal project that we needed help with, and something I know, like, you and I haven't talked about this particular part of the story, but something I know called to you about being involved in this ministry. And like, you've done just a marvelous job of engaging the folks at CCNY in, I'm 35 miles north of Brother Zachary and the Community Church of New York, and I have on occasion been down there. I hope on many more occasions I will be down there to share dinner and just the community that gathers with to do our pen pal stuff. But like, tell us about that part of it. Like, what was it that called to you about this ministry?
Thank you.
People are watching, by the way.
Oh, wonderful. And I see the Community Church of New York is tuning in as well. It's good to see you. Thank you for asking. So social justice is a foundation of how I express my faith. And I believe Jesus has called us as the church to be the hands and feet of the movement of the church in creating the world we want to be a part of, in creating the world that God has envisioned for us. And in that respect, the effort that I put forth into trying to improve my world comes very naturally to me. I started at the community church and I was given the task of reopening their shelter. The community church had a long-standing homeless shelter called BJ and Helene's that unfortunately had to close during the pandemic and had been struggling to reopen. I put a lot of energy into trying to reopen, swimming upstream, trying to get the attention of the city where it was most needed. And I found quite a few stumbling blocks, roadblocks, impediments, difficulties. It got harder and harder for me to live out that mission until maybe about 2 years ago, having to give up on that project and acknowledging the fact that our shelters was not going to happen. I know certainly if it did, it wasn't going to meet the needs of our city very well. In that transition, Reverend Peggy brought the idea to me that the community church could serve as the Worthy Now Pen Pal Hub, and that ignited in me some of my own personal story about how I think our terrible systems ended up in this place. I am mixed race, and I come from traditions in this country of both enslavers and the enslaved. My dark-skinned family has a sordid past when it comes to incarceration. And my first cousin right now is serving several consecutive life sentences in Colorado. And it tears me up to know that our country has given up on him, but even more than that, is staunchly opposed to even recognizing the systems in place that create the disposal of life. We dispose of one another so efficiently and so ruthlessly, based not on our faith convictions that people deserve punishment, but rather on systems that are faulty in their origins, are rotten in their foundations. And so this, the opportunity to take up the Worthy Now Pen Pal Hub for me was not just a marriage of opportunity, but it was also a circumstance and opportunity, but it was also for me a chance to become what I had always envisioned myself to be, namely someone who is working to undermine these systems of dehumanization in my labor. I've always believed myself to be working on behalf of humanity and working on behalf of our deepest needs. It did not occur to me as a priest that I could also be dismantling the very bars of the cage. And so I think Worthy Now Pen Pal Hub is my opportunity to become that which I hoped to be. The highest expression of my faith right now is to strike. If we're going to use that metaphors of violence, to strike the blow that matters to the system that most dehumanize us.
Woo, amen.
Aisha, you asked the question, so I had to speak some of my truth to it.
Beautiful.
I
Yeah.
come here with a conviction that the world we have inherited is deeply sick, and so we need to heal from those foundations first.
And we're exporting this. I mean, you had alluded to it in the very beginning that when we're talking about abolition, it is, yes, the practical, at some point we no longer throw people away or cage them, and a worldview of not giving up on anyone, right? And the for-profit industrial complex, which is part of the violent extractive capitalist system in which we exist, is a driver of just building and the one in El Salvador, Sica. I mean, I can't quite wrap my mind. I can and I can't at the same time wrap my mind around the images of what we're seeing there, and I am ashamed that I didn't know about it, and I should have, because I'm also an abolitionist. But someone had tweeted, I should have screenshotted, but something, or maybe posted somewhere on social media, like everyone's worried about that one guy, instead of saying, like, what the fuck is that? Like, what is it that we need to shut that whole thing down? How is it that a place like that exists?
Nobody should be sent to a concentration camp.
Yeah.
Nobody, whatever they did.
Yeah.
And can we point to a prison that is not a concentration camp? Because prisons are the new plantations.
Say that again. Say that again, Dante.
Prisons are one of the new plantations.
That's right.
Slavery was not outlawed. It just shifted the container from plantations to carceral containers we call prisons and jails.
Right. Functioning along similarly capitalist goals. Dante, I think that's important for me to consider also. What prisons are not concentration camps. I think that the difference in definition, at least as it was presented to me, is that a prison is someplace you are sent to because of something you have done, and a concentration camp is someplace you are sent to for who you are. That distinction does not hold weight, Dante, when you acknowledge the fact that so many of our people here in this country ended up in the place that they are because of who they are, not because of what they have done, contrary to what others might believe.
And a 34-time convicted felon sits in the highest office of our political order, who happens to be a white cisgender man with a lot of money.
I want to also, I don't want to lose something you said, Aisha, that feels really important to me, that you discovered the presence of this deplorable institution in El Salvador, and you said you're a little ashamed that you didn't know about it. And I share some of those feelings when I discover some of the horribleness about the world we're living in. I felt deeply ashamed when I discovered that that I was deeply unaware of the interactions between our state systems and the federal systems, and how complicated it can be to track an individual who has gotten lost in these systems. How, I was ashamed to find out so many of our CLF pen pals read their handwritten letters on iPads that they have to pay for by the minute. That surprised me, and I was ashamed that I didn't know it. But leaders in the movement remind me that shame, is not only is it part of the system, but we should not be sad that we don't know that which has been deliberately withheld from us, that we shouldn't know, those things that have been intentionally given to us as falsehoods. That's really not our fault. But now that we know, to keep
now that we know,
yes.
Now that we know, it's I'm going to connect it because everyone on the View knows how passionate I am about what's happening in Palestine. Because I was born in Egypt. I have Palestinians in my family. So I just got this yesterday in the mail. Genocide bad. I just want to read some of the chapter titles. Who are you to speak on Israel? Marginalized human shields, but Israel's so diverse. But the Holocaust, bogus history, but Hamas. Won't anyone think of the colonizers? Criticizing Israel's anti-Semitic, Jews are entitled to Palestine. Those are just some of the chapter titles. It is printed by the only Palestinian-owned printer in the United States. So it is written by a Jewish author who is a very proud Jewish person who lives in the United States and is very clear that genocide is bad. And here's what's interesting. The cop cities, the carceral system is intertwined with the Israeli Defense Force. They come here and train our police officers. This notion of basically for people's lives, labeling them. Somebody said there are no innocent people in Gaza, including children. So this rabid dehumanization that has always existed in violent extractive capitalism seems to be on with the climate. It is all connected. So when we're talking about envisioning an abolitionist world and studying this for 3 years, what we're studying is a new world view that centers care, and we never dehumanize anyone. Now, because then people go right to, what about the people who fill in crime? And I'm like, okay, let's pull that thread. We do not justice is determined by who's in power. White people get away with shit all the time. Stealing, wage theft. I was having a conversation with friends the other day. Wage theft, that's not criminalized. I mean, people can pay whatever. No one can live on that. That's not a crime. But if someone steals food to try to feed their family, that's a crime. So it's a world. Abolition is a worldview of how we center humanity, and we do not throw people away in service to. We have, as a group of people, said this piece of paper is going to be worth more than human life. Yeah.
Well, and there's a theology behind it, right? And so this is like where Unitarian Universalist theology and Catholic theology have a lovely little overlap, maybe a big overlap, which is that nobody is disposable, right? Nothing that we do makes us disposable. That we do makes us less than in the eyes of God, right? So, like, if we're going to create a world where nobody is disposable, we have to create a world where nobody is disposed, right? Where nobody is thrown away, where nobody is locked up, where nobody is enslaved, where nobody is forced into bankruptcy because they got cancer.
Oh my God.
Right? I mean, like, let's make the whole list, right, of the ways in which we dispose of people and marginalize them and push them away.
Reverend Michael, in order to do that, don't we also have to deconstruct our theologies around hell? Because just as monotheism and imperialism are used as sort of the dog whistle around the oneness and the divine power of the single God, is not hell a metaphor for throwing people, a theological container that socializes us, that some people are to be thrown away?
Yes. Well, I mean, I believe that hell is here, right? I mean, look at the pictures from CCOT. Tell me that that's not hell.
Or
right?
Gaza.
Or Gaza.
Or Congo. Or Sudan.
The rubble in Gaza, and like people like fishing the bodies of their dead children out of life. Like, tell me that that's not hell.
Yeah.
Right? You can't do that. You can't claim that that's not hell.
It's so powerful. And Dante, I'm particularly struck by your understanding of the way that our theologies create our behavior. It's absolutely true that theologies of hell are in the Bible, and Catholics like to lean into that, particularly when we are constructing Catholic theology. And yet, the New Testament was written during a time when prison institutions were alive and well. Some of the documents in our New Testament were written in the context of incarceration, were written by people who were imprisoned. One of the clearest mandates from Jesus in the Bibles is to not just feed the hungry, not just clothe the naked, not just heal the sick, but visit those in prison. Connect to those in prison. And it's hard for me to, as we engage in the work of comparative theology, to lean into my tradition's primacy over hell-based theology over love-based theology, because both are present in our foundational documents. Both are present in our traditions. If we want to lift tradition as the highest authority within Catholicism, then we have to acknowledge that originally Catholics were taking care of each other, and that was the central core. The original church put care at the center. The original church prioritized its people. And I think that today, this idea of hell-based theology does suggest disposability, but it also, I think, is its own sort of expression of how connected we are to punishment theory, that people deserve punishment, that authority is justified, even divinely inspired, that those who have authority deserve it, have earned it, have been chosen by God to give it, and the way that the authority is doled out is justified by virtue of the fact that it was an authority figure giving it out. I think those roots go deeper than Catholicism. They're in the way that we live out our lives together in communities.
Yeah. It seems like our concepts of punishment are always from the hoarders of power perspective. It's never from the perspective of the marginalized.
Nope.
The Haitian Revolution was an atrocity, but slavery was sanctioned by God. So, so I think we also have to think about from whose perspective.
That's right.
Are we understanding our concepts of punishment as well,
or even justice? Whose perspective is justice?
I remember something about the least of these, but I don't mean to be preaching.
Or the last being first, and
there you go.
Yeah. And honestly, y'all were talking ahead of time that Mark is both your favorite gospels. I like Luke's just because he's so subversive and sneaky and sarcastic. And like there are times when I was studying in seminary, I was like, Jesus hung out with the stupidest people since Lassie's family. Like Timmy was always falling down a well. Somebody was getting pinned on their farm equipment. They weren't listening to him. And he would say, like, I sort of get this like click and clack, like dope slap image in my head. Listen then if you had ears. Like I've been saying this stuff to you for so long. Will you pay attention? And there's that great meme with Jesus preaching on the Mount when he says, did I fucking stutter? Right? Like he said, and that was me at 12:44. But I mean, like since the beginning, he had this, Jesus had this amazing idea, and his people were like, yeah, that's a great idea. And he was like, no, you got to eat it whole. Like all of it, not just the pieces you like, all of it. And they're like, but what about, I don't care. What did I fucking stutter? Like all means all. When you talk about Jesus died for all All means all. All means the people you think are deserving and the people you think aren't. Because frankly, that ain't your business to decide that. You know? So, like, oh God, like, I just, like, that poor guy who was surrounded by well-meaning but kind of numb people, who kept trying and getting it wrong. And it seems like that has been history since then. Well-intentioned but kind of dumb people, who try and get it wrong.
Well, no, thank you.
Sorry.
Thank you, DC. And I definitely, I appreciate it. And I definitely, in some ways, feel implicated in that. How did we get here, right? And I think that that's part of my attraction to Unitarian Universalism, because somewhere along the line, as a Catholic, we left behind, what Paul writes in Galatians, that we are neither Jew nor Greek, nor slave nor free, but we've leaned into these divisions. Well, either you can receive sacraments or you can't. Either you're a real Catholic or you're not. Either you're with us or you're not. Either you believe whole hog the things authority teaches you to take, or instead you are one of the anathema. You are disposable. You don't belong here. You are not with us. There's a miss that happened at some point, and there are different theories as to when Catholicism lost its universalist roots. But there is a foundational universalism, a foundational humanism that runs through my tradition. Where did that go? I can't help but feel like the game of telephone didn't go the way that we wanted it to, and the message that I got wasn't the message that was told 2,000 years ago. It's a very difficult place to be in, especially for cradle Catholics, especially for folks who are living out their faith and living out their belief in shared community. How do we grapple with these complexities of authority? One of the most interesting things that I get in this position at a Unitarian Universalist church is folks come over to me, they see the way I'm dressed, they hear me introduce myself as Brother Zachary, and they say, I can't tell anyone, but I'm also Catholic.
Oh, interesting.
And I think that is such a powerful expression of where we got to in our religious identity, that we cannot be who we actually are because the complexity of dynamic change, the complexity of being several things, the complexity of being in progress, in practice, is just too much for our world to hold sometimes. The complexity of being two things at once is just too complicated.
Well, I've been thinking about this too, like where humanity went off the rails, and maybe we've never been on the rails. I don't know. Like one person said it was when we went from hunter-gatherers to agriculture. I don't know. I think my own personal theory is the lie that power, like how people wield power and hoarding. So this made up thing called money, we have agreed that people, we haven't agreed, but what's happening is people hoard it, and they're deeply unhappy people. Like when I'm not feeling angry at them and I can have a modicum of compassion, which sometimes is annoying. I don't want to dehumanize anyone, but like when I see, I'll tell you a moment when I only saw clips of the inauguration of this year, and there was a moment with Musk standing there and no one wanted to be around him. And like I felt compassion for probably when he was a boy and mistreated. I mean, he sounds like he had problematic parents, to put it very mildly. And there's a deep hole that these people who seemingly have everything, I put that in quotes, and I'm talking about the oligarchs, that's never going to be filled. And in the meantime, they're wreaking havoc on the rest of us. And there's always been, I think, that once Catholicism met power and the monarchs and the roots, I think, went like it. I think when we're attached to power and the outcome and control as humans, I think it is a poison pill, right? Like, and And how do I don't have an answer of like no one's healing Elon Musk or Jeff Bezos or Mark like or these people that like are endless pits of insecurity and unlove, whatever the fuck. Like, but so no one's healing them. But how do we create a society where we're like, hey, the more we connect to each other, the more we don't turn to this punitive, punishing worldview, the more we can actually say, what does repair look like? What does supporting someone look like? What does it look like to hold each other? I started reading Loving Corrections by Adrienne Maree Brown, where she talks about how do we call each other in an organizing space, right? We're all on the same side. We're all wanting a different world. But I know I screw up. I know I let people down. So how do we call each other in? It's all part of the abolitionist worldview. It's all part of how do we, and I have fallen short. I'm not saying at all. And I'd like to think, and I try to have accountable relationships with people to tell me the truth, even if it's a truth I don't want to hear. But if I want to try and grow, but how do we do that in a society? And I'm talking about the United States. And I know we have people all over the world who listen and watch. In the United States, especially with the whole superhero nonsense, and it's the savior, they're all Jesus of some kind, like Superman, all of them, they all channel some kind of savior complex rather than community. I think I lost the point, so thank you for going on that journey with me.
Well,
go on, Dante.
Well, I want to try to thread this because what I was wondering, Reverend Michael, is let's say our issue wins for the study over the next couple of years around abolitionist formation and thinking about this connection with community church. I'm also wondering, I think we have to, but are we making room in that study to also think about the very real traumas that people have suffered? And there's a reason that people feel comfortable with harsh punishment, because a lot of people have also suffered extreme violence.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think we can get to abolition. We can't, I tell people my universalism is very complex because I'm Black, gay, queer, kinky, fat. Like it's real complicated because, white people burned down my hometown because the Black workers broke their picket line. So there's a part of me that kind of wants a fiery lake for certain. Like there's an impulse to be like, hey, you earned that, And so how could during this time of study might we be able to also address the very real traumas that generational traumas that people are living with that make punishment feel okay?
I mean, we have to address trauma. We have to address repentance and repair and redemption. And there's so many things, right? There's so many layers to this. I was thinking as Aisha was talking that in our whole lives comprehensive sexuality education program, which I am an author of, one of the curricula, we teach people of all ages that human sexuality has been damaged by the abuse of power, by coercion, by power, by like oppression, misogyny, transphobia, all of these, homophobia, like all of these things have damaged this beautiful, beautiful thing, which is human sexuality. I just think like religion has been damaged by the abuse of power in much the same way, right? And our society has been damaged by the abuse of power, by coercion and lack of consent, and just think about all these things and systems, building systems of oppression that label some people as less than. They damage humanity. They damage the very core of like this beautiful thing, this beautiful creation that we are. Right?
That's so powerful. On my mind right now, At Worthy now, the Pen Pal Hub, which now meets every Wednesday and every Sunday. We're gathering twice a week now. We prepare a meal. We eat together. We make lentils and rice usually, but it's always in surplus. We make far more than we consume as a group, and then package the rest of our meal to be shared with unhoused folks in our community around the corner or just down the street. Over the course of this program, I've gotten to know a lot of the individuals who live here outdoors, who live in my neighborhood. And you are probably not surprised to hear a good number of them are formerly incarcerated. A good number bring mental illness or disability or traumatic experiences that prevent them from engaging in the system, who desire to be humanized and who desire work and who desire to be full participants in society, and yet have been excluded by a variety of systems. I'm thinking about this time of study, of when we can study how abolition works, but also how the prison industrial complex got us here. I encourage us all as well to think about what exactly are the texts that we're studying. Is it just what is written by experts? Because that is valuable. Each of us as human beings, though, is our own text worthy of study. How did we as individuals get here? How do we build relationships with people who have that knowledge and that wisdom that we are missing? You know, I have a friend, his name is Robert. Robert is not his real name. Robert has told me he's not going to tell me his real name for fear of me finding out who he is and where he's from. But he has a family that he cannot connect with. He originally comes from Iowa and ended up in New York City because he could not meet his parole officer's expectations and vanished. And so now he's here without identification. He's living outdoors, and he has no reasonable expectation of reintegrating into society because he is hiding from this society. If Robert is the sacred holy text, if we are focused on cultures of care, if we're focused on, and I want to say, he also told me that his crime was a violent crime. And so if we're actually focused on rehabilitation, if we're focused on how to be in relationship, we have to take Robert's life seriously. We have to take Robert's values seriously. How do we build a culture of care that invites Robert to be a full participant in our society?
That acknowledges his life as sacred holy text. I mean,
yes,
right? That is just such a beautiful way to put it. Thank you so much for that nugget that I'm going to be holding on to a lot. We have about 3 minutes left, and I want to get to this congregational study action issue because next week, next Tuesday, the Commission on Social Witness is hosting an information session. There's a link to register for that information session on our Abolition website, which is clfuu.org/abolition. Easy. There's a link to register for that. So if you want to know more, please, if you want to support this issue and you're coming to GA or you're going to be at GA virtually, we have shirts. I'm holding up the bright golden shirt with a chalice designed by one of our incarcerated members, Michael W. And we invite you to buy your CLF swag. And that link is also in our chat. And we invite you to be a pen pal. If you are a Unitarian Universalist, a member of any of our member congregations in the United States, Canada, or elsewhere around the world, we invite you to be a pen pal. And the link to apply to be a pen pal is in there. And when you are a pen pal, you will be invited to regular gatherings for support of pen pals. And I know we have one of those coming up on Tuesday afternoon too, that you're going to be leading, Brother Zachary. Is that right?
Yes, that's right. Looking forward to seeing you all.
And I will be spending a lot of time in large gatherings on Zoom on Tuesday because I will join you there. So, did I see Darby's comment?
Darby.
This
That
from Darby?
yes.
Yes. So CLF is currently in our season of membership renewal. So if you are a CLF member, we invite you to go to clfuu.org/renewal and renew your membership and stewardship of our congregation. If you're not, we welcome your generous donations at clfuu.org/give, and you can earmark those generous donations to our Worthy Now Prison Ministry if you so choose, and we will use them wisely. We hope.
And we'll have Brother Zachary on again because wow.
I hope so. I hope so. I hope you will be a regular guest on our weekly talks with Brother Zachary. I always enjoy getting to talk with you.
Likewise.
Do you have any last words you want to leave our people with?
Oh, just to be gentle with ourselves. This is heavy work, and it's many, many generations that we are holding in the conversation. So stay gentle and go forth with ease, because this is world-changing efforts.
Thank you. Amen.
Go well, beloveds.
Thank you for joining us.
Everybody.
Special thanks to those of you who give generously to this ministry. It is because of you that this ministry is possible. You can click the link in the description to give now, or visit clfuu.org/give for more information. We hope you will join us next week for another episode of The View.